M. German. M. Einstadt sucht einen Mörder. M. A City Looks for a Murderer is a 1931 German drama thriller film directed by Fritz Lang and starring Peter Lorre. The film was written by Lang and his wife, Thea von Harbou, and was the director's first sound film. The film concerns both the actions of a serial killer of children and the manhunt for him, conducted by both the police and the criminal underworld. Now considered a classic, the film was deemed by Fritz Lang to be his finest work. Plot: a group of children are playing an elimination game in the courtyard of an apartment building in Berlin using a chant about a murderer of children. A woman sets the table for dinner, waiting for her daughter to come home from school. A wanted poster warns of a serial killer preying on children. As anxious parents wait outside a school, little Elsie Beckman leaves school, bouncing a ball on her way home. She is approached by Hans Beckert, who is whistling "In the Hall of the Mountain King" by Edvard Grieg. He offers to buy her a balloon from a blind street vendor and walks and talks with her. Elsie's place at the dinner table remains empty. Her ball is shown rolling away across a patch of grass and her balloon is lost in the telephone lines overhead. In the wake of Elsie's disappearance, anxiety runs high among the public. Beckert sends an anonymous letter to the newspapers, taking credit for the murders and promising that he will commit others. The police extract clues from the letter, using the new techniques of fingerprinting and handwriting analysis. Under mounting pressure from city leaders, the police work around the clock. Inspector Karl Lohmann instructs his men to intensify their search and to check the records of recently released psychiatric patients, focusing on any with a history of violence against children. They stage frequent raids to question known criminals, disrupting underworld business so badly that Der Schranker, the safecracker, calls a meeting of the city's crime lords. They decide to organize their own manhunt, using beggars to watch the children. Meanwhile, the police search Beckert's rented rooms, find evidence that he wrote the letter there, and lie in wait to arrest him. Beckert sees a young girl in the reflection of a shop window and begins to follow her, but stops when the girl meets her mother. He encounters another girl and befriends her, but the blind vendor recognizes his whistling. The blind man tells one of his friends, who tails the killer with assistance from other beggars he alerts along the way. Afraid that Beckert will get away, one man chalks a large M for murderer in German, on his palm, pretends to trip, and bumps into Beckert, marking the back of his overcoat. Once Beckert realizes that the beggars are following him, he hides inside a large office building just before the workers leave for the evening. The beggars call Der Schranker, who arrives at the building with a team of other criminals. They capture and torture one of the watchmen for information and, after capturing the other two, search the building and catch Beckert in the attic. When one of the watchmen trips the silent alarm, the criminals narrowly escape with their prisoner before the police arrive. Franz, one of the criminals, is left behind in the confusion and captured by the police. Lohmann tricks him into admitting that the gang only broke into the building to find Beckert and revealing where he will be taken. The criminals drag Beckert to an abandoned distillery to face a kangaroo court. He finds a large, silent crowd awaiting him. Beckert is given a lawyer, who gamely argues in his defense but fails to win any sympathy from the improvised jury. Beckert delivers an impassioned monologue, saying that he cannot control his homicidal urges, while the other criminals break the law by choice, and further questioning why those criminals believe they have any right to judge him by stating, "What right have you to speak? Criminals, perhaps you're even proud of yourselves. Proud of being able to crack into safes." Beckert pleads to be handed over to the police, asking, "Who knows what it's like to be me?" His lawyer points out that the presiding judge is wanted on 3 counts of Totschlag, manslaughter, a form of homicide in German law. and that it is unjust to execute an insane man. Just as the enraged mob is about to kill Beckert, the police arrive to arrest both him and the criminals. As a panel of judges prepares to deliver a verdict at Beckert's real trial, the mothers of 3 of his victims weep in the gallery. Elsie's mother says that no sentence will bring the dead children back, and that one has to keep closer watch over the children. The screen fades to black as she adds, "All of you." Quote. Cast: Peter Lorre as Hans Beckert. Was Laurie's first major starring role, and it boosted his career, even though he was typecast as a villain for years after in films such as Mad Love and the film adaptation of Crime and Punishment. Before Lorre was mostly a comedic actor. After fleeing from the Nazis, he landed a major role in Alfred Hitchcock's first version of The Man Who Knew Too Much, picking up English along the way. Otto Wernick as Inspector Karl Oman. Wernick made his breakthrough with after playing many small roles in silent films for over a decade. After his part in he was in great demand due to the success of the film, including returning to the role of Karl Oman in The Testament of Dr. Mabuse, and he played supporting roles for the rest of his career. Gustav Gründgens as Der Schranker, the safecracker. Gründgens received acclaim for his role in the film and established a successful career for himself under Nazi rule, ultimately becoming director of the Staatliches Schauspielhaus, National Dramatic Theatre. Production: Lange placed an advert in a newspaper in 1930 stating that his next film would be Mörder unter uns, Murderer Among Us, and that it was about a child murderer. He immediately began receiving threatening letters in the mail and was also denied a studio space to shoot the film at the Steichen Studios. When Lange confronted the head of Steichen Studio to find out why he was being denied access, the studio head informed Lange that he was a member of the Nazi Party and that the party suspected that the film was meant to depict the Nazis. Was eventually shot in 6 weeks at a Steichen Zeppelin Halle studio, just outside Berlin. Lange made the film for Nero Film, rather than with UFAR, his own production company. It was produced by Nero studio head Seymour Nebenzel, who later produced Lange's The Testament of Dr. Mabuse. Other titles were given to the film before was chosen. Eine Stadt sucht einen Mörder, A City Searches for a Murderer, and Ein Mörder sieht dich an, Your Killer Looks at You. Lange did not show any acts of violence or deaths of children on screen, and later said that by only suggesting violence he forced each individual member of the audience to create the gruesome details of the murder according to his personal imagination. Peter Lorre as Hans Beckert. Gazing into a shop window, Fritz Lang uses glass and reflections throughout the film for expressive purposes. Has been said by various critics and reviewers. Leitmotif. Was Lange's first sound film, and Lange experimented with the new technology. The film was one of the first to use a leitmotif, a technique borrowed from opera, associating a tune with Lorre's character, who whistles the tune, in the Hall of the Mountain King, from Edvard Grieg's Peer Gynt Suite No. 1. Later in the film, the mere sound of the song lets the audience know that he is nearby, off-screen. This association of a musical theme with a particular character or situation is now a film staple. Release and reception. Premiered in Berlin on the 11th of May 1931 at the UFA Palast im Zoo in a version lasting 117 minutes. Was later released in the U.S. in 1933 by 4MCO Pictures. After playing in German with English subtitles for 2 weeks, it was pulled from theaters and replaced by an English version. The redubbing was directed by Erich Hakim, and Lorre was one of the few cast members to reprise his role in the film. As with many other early talkies from the years 1930, 1931, was partially reshot with actors including Laurie performing dialogue in other languages for foreign markets after the German original was completed. Apparently without Lang's involvement, an English-language version was filmed and released in 1932 from an edited script with Laurie speaking his own words. His first English part. An edited French version was also released, but despite the fact that Laurie spoke French, his speaking parts were dubbed. A Variety review said that the film was a little too long. Without spoiling the effect, even bettering it, cutting could be done. There are a few repetitions and a few slow scenes. Quote, in 2013 a DCP version was released by Kino Lorber and played theatrically in North America. Legacy. Lang considered M to be his favorite of his own films because of the social criticism in the film. In 1937, he told the reporter that he made the film to warn mothers about neglecting children. A Hollywood remake of the same name was released in 1951, shifting the action from Berlin to Los Angeles. Nero Films head Seymour Nebenzel and his son Harold produced the film for Columbia Pictures. Lang had once told a reporter, "People ask me why I do not remake M in English. I have no reason to do that. I said all I had to say about that subject in the picture. Now I have other things to say." Quote, the original 1931 M was ranked at number 33 in Empire magazine's The 100 Best Films of World Cinema in 2010. In 2003, M was adapted for radio by Peter Strahan and broadcast on BBC Radio 3 on February 2, later rebroadcast on BBC Radio 4 Extra on the 8th of October 2016. Directed by Toby Swift, this drama won the Prix Italia for Adapted Drama in 2004.